Dare we give this draft a letter grade? What's up? Good afternoon. Welcome to Cohn and Kruger. That's Larry Kruger. I'm Grant Cohn. The draft is over. The Niners made 11 picks. The national media seems to pretty much hate it. PFF gave the Niners their lowest draft grade. Sports Illustrated gave them a D as well. Larry, I'm not saying you got to give me a letter, but I would like your assessment. What did you like? What did you not like? And what was your overall feeling about this draft?
Well, it was pretty clear they wanted to improve the run D. I mean, the run D was like number 1, 2, 3, 4 picks, all devoted to, to improving the run D. So I do think that was a major problem, but they also couldn't run the ball in short yardage or on the goal line. And I'm not sure if they improved that or not. But it's one of these things where it's a hard thing to say today the way it's going to go, because it never quite goes the way you want it to go. I mean, heck, last year was a perfect example. Your number 1 pick got shot and totally derailed this whole season. And our expectations went up in smoke. But then it wound up being a really good year overall for the draft class because of guys like Malik Mustafa and Isaac Guerendo and guys like that. So you never know, but I thought the Niners did a pretty good job. You're never going to hit on all your picks. I think I like the linebacker. I love the defensive tackle from Indiana. I think they got a day 3 steal in the Iowa offensive lineman. I think there's some really, really intriguing undrafted guys. I think Mikael Williams is going to be really good against the run to start. The question is how much pass rush, is he going to give you? To me, the biggest swing and the most exciting player in a lot of ways, Grant, is Alfred Collins, because Collins is so big. I mean, 6'5.5", 332 pounds, and yet he moves like a very athletic guy. I mean, like a Chris Jones. I mean, he's really intriguing, and his motor and his desire and his everything about that kid is really unique. So I thought that was a huge swing on maybe the most talented defensive tackle in the group of a very good group. And I thought they also got the safest one in the kid from Indiana. I think the Indiana defensive tackle is really, really safe. He's strong and ridiculous vice grip hands, and he's just a great run defender. And I think he's got a little bit of pass rush. So I really liked what they did up front, and I think they got a steal in this Colby guy in the last round. So the running back, the quarterback pick, I'm just not sure. I mean, history tells us that their undrafted free agent signing at running back will probably outperform, the Oregon running back. So we'll see. I didn't love it, but I could see where they got some real value up front. And I thought that the linebacker is a home run pick, and I was really intrigued by Upton Stout.
I really liked the defensive picks, the first 3 in particular. I felt like it made sense. You're trying to sort of revamp your defense. You start with the defensive line, then you go to the second level, then you go to the third. And maybe you wondered like how much of a pass rusher is Mikael Williams and Alfred Collins, but they're going to greatly improve your run defense right away. And they both have traits and potential to improve as pass rushers and be 3-down players. So I like those picks a lot, both of them. And then the linebacker, Nick Martin, people say he's a reach, but I love the pick. And I feel like I don't understand why he wasn't projected earlier. I mean, he's off the charts athletically in every way except for height. He's 5'11 and a half. So is Greenlaw. He's 10 pounds lighter than Greenlaw. He's got Greenlaw's length, which is going to really help him in coverage. He runs a 4.5. He's vicious. I mean, he had a ton of tackles in 2023, got hurt this year, but he's clearly all the way back. So I like that pick a lot too. Then when they drafted Upton Stout, that's when I first kind of like raised an eyebrow. It's like, wait, like a nickelback over an offensive lineman. And there were 2 offensive linemen that went right before that pick. It was Charles Grant from William Mary and one other guy. Both of them.
Caleb Rogers. Yeah, they both and guys that maybe the Niners had some interest in.
Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe the Niners would have taken one of those guys, so they take Upton Stout instead. I still like that pick, though. He's 5'8.5". That's really short for a corner, but we've seen what the Niners can do with short nickelbacks. He could be K'Wan Williams, and with Robert Saleh structuring the defense, it could work. So I even like that pick. Then you get to the next day, and it's like CJ West. It's like, okay, love the player, love the value, but a third defensive lineman before you touch the offensive line. It's like, okay, all right. But it's CJ West. And it's like he's going to start and he's going to play next to Alfred Collins. And now you have a freaking brick wall. Okay, I like it. I still like it, even though I'm like, you're kind of missing your opportunity to take an offensive lineman. Then they take the wide receiver. I'm like, all right, man. All right, Kyle. Come on. You never change at all. Like, not only did you take a wide receiver at the end of round 4, but everyone agreed that he was a reach. He seems like he has good traits. But he was going around 6 or 7. It's like, man, if you're going to reach for something, why don't you reach for a bigger need? Unless someone could tell me that wide receiver is a worse position than offensive line on the Niners.
Well, and then Tez Johnson went like last in the draft, and you took this guy in the 5th round. Now, Jordan Watkins was actually one of the receivers that I really liked because he does, to me, he was a really good pick. Why? Because he has both production and vertical.
Traits.
Vertical speed. He's got 4.37 speed, but he also has good hands and he was productive. A lot of times, like Danny Gray could run fast, but is he productive? This guy's actually productive.
And so I really
I like this guy. I'll say this: it never made sense where his rankings were initially. They ranked him as an undrafted free agent or as a 7th round pick. So if you did any of the mocks, you saw him as a 6th or 7th round pick. I thought the Niners could get him in the 6th round, but I thought he'd be a good 6th round pick because he's a good complement for what they have. He can run the gadget plays, but he also has vertical speed. So I like the pick. I do think it was probably 50 picks too early. But they weren't concerned about value clearly throughout this draft.
No, it's unless he was an offensive lineman. Because when we asked about him after the draft, it's like, well, the board just didn't line up. So after that, they take Jordan James, who looks good. It's just my question is, would you rather have Jordan James or Jordan Mason? And are we sure that Jordan James is better than Corey Kiner, their undrafted free agent? But I like him. He looks pretty good. I'm sure he'll have success. Then Marquise Siegel, tested off the charts. I'm kind of intrigued. That's a really good athlete you get at the end of round 5. And then I got to say, I'm pretty intrigued with the quarterback, even though he's torn his ACL twice and he's 32. I'm very intrigued with Curtis Rourke, I got to say, at least on this team.
I'd feel more comfortable if you called him by his nickname. He goes by the Maple Missile.
The Maple Missile, man, with a name like that, how are you not going to succeed?
I don't know if he goes by, I just heard somebody call him that, but it's a great nickname.
Yeah.
The Maple Missile. I at first, I had the same reaction to that as I did when I heard this drafted Brock Purdy. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Really? But then the more I watched Purdy, I was like, I really like him. And the more I watch this guy, I can see why they like him. But there's no mobility or anything. So he's definitely a pocket.
Have you watched his Ohio tape yet?
He was good at Ohio.
He could run a little bit at Ohio.
And he did. And he runs. He just doesn't. He's 6'5", 225. He's
not elusive.
He's not an elusive.
But
runner.
he can sort of get himself going in one direction with a little momentum.
What I liked about him on the run actually was that he throws well on the run.
Yep.
Even though I don't think he's a fast runner. When he's running, there's a little Roethlisberger there where it's like some guys run and their accuracy goes downhill. This guy runs and he can actually throw on the run with pretty good accuracy. You never go wrong drafting a quarterback if you really believe in him. And the way Shanahan was talking to him on the conference call, you'd swear this guy's the quarterback of the future.
Given the success they've had, I'm going to talk about that for a second. Given the success they've had with Purdy, I feel like they owe it to themselves to take a quarterback in round 7, let's say every other year. Why not? Because it's like the way your team is structured, the way you build, the way you have all these weapons and the scheme you have, a lot of quarterbacks could have success. You don't necessarily have to get guys with premium traits. What I've noticed about Rourke, he doesn't have a big, strong arm. His arm is very Purdy-esque. It's good. It's good enough. He can make all the throws. He's accurate, but he's not like piercing the defense, driving the ball. He's not Stafford or Tyler Shook. Good arm. Smart, doesn't hold the ball a long time, isn't playing hero ball. Seems like he fits the system, but also the one thing they kept mentioning from Kyle to Tariq Ahmad to Josh Williams, tall, great height, good size, really good vision, can see the field. It's like, ooh, is that a dig at the guy you're about to pay a lot of money to? It feels like a dig. I don't know.
That would be not good biz.
No.
Let's take a dig at our $100 million quarterback.
Because Brock's the one who brought it up 2 months ago, right, on that podcast. He's like, it's a funny thing. You
can't always see it.
Always see it.
Well, I thought you were going to bring up the fact they kept saying how tough he was. You remember the last quarterback?
Constantly gets hurt.
Remember the last quarterback that they kept talking about his toughness?
Beathard.
CJ Beathard.
Yeah, it was Beathard.
CJ Beathard. This guy. Oh, how about this? Let's not find out how tough our quarterback is.
Let's just give him a good offensive line.
Let's not find out how. Yeah. Maybe let's get the not toughest quarterback, but maybe protect him. Instead of we got a guy that absolutely can take abuse, and we will find out how much abuse he can take.
So they take Connor Colby in the 7th round. Good scheme fit, comes from Iowa. Clearly, coached well. Good athlete too. My question with him is these 32-inch arms. Like, what are you? Can you play in the NFL? Can you play guard with 32-inch arms? 33, yeah. 32, you're entering T-Rex territory. And no offense to dinosaurs.
And they've got a very, very powerful lobby. That was a good move by you. I don't know. I mean, to me,
shot 7th round.
He played at Iowa, and he had 50 starts, and he's only 22. And then when I watched his film, I love his film. I mean, he's efficient and smart, but when he gets a chance, he finishes. So this is a guy, here's the thing about it too. He played right guard the entire time, and and the guy didn't miss anything. I mean, he's tough, and he played all the time, and they're really well coached. They had a really solid scheme. Clearly, he understands some of the nuances. Dom Pooney has played the left side. Will they put this kid at right guard and move Pooney to left guard, or will they start Pooney at right guard and let Ben Barch play left guard? My guess is it's probably going to be this kid. We'll see. But I mean, Barch has had a hard time staying healthy. He's an older guy who's got more experience, a little bigger body. But can he stay healthy? And this guy's never, ever, ever missed a game in college. It's like, you know what? I might plug and play the Iowa rookie right away if he shows that he's got the ability to do it.
I noticed that no one seems to want Spencer Burford to start at left guard. Is that wrong? A lot of people.
I mean, I'll look at it this way. Today, isn't Spencer Burford going to play tackle? I mean, who are your backup tackles on this team? I mean, the starting tackles we know are Trent Williams and Colton McKivitz.
But couldn't he be the swing tackle and the starting left guard? Like, he starts at left guard, and if someone goes down and tackle, then he moves over, and then you bring in Ben Barch. Because I think he's making 3 times what Barch is making this year. The Niners don't pay people to just not play.
Burford has the perfect physique and profile to play. It's just a matter of Simon Sound and how ready is he? Because I mean, he's been in the system for a while.
Contract year.
He played right tackle at Texas San Antonio.
Dude, if Burford comes out and plays 1 solid year, he's making $19 million next year.
Yeah, it's the Jalen Moore treatment.
Yeah,
it's called the Jalen Moore experience. You surf a good year to generational wealth.
All right, what was your favorite pick that they made? Or we can go back and forth. The good ones.
To me, CJ West. CJ West was the best player they picked, I think. As far as that was the guy that I had mocked to them a lot. And I just think that he's just ridiculous. His hands are the most violent hands I think I've seen. The Niners had a D lineman back in the day named Kevin Fagan who had just crazy violent hands. Like if he got his hands on you, you were going down. Running backs, quarterbacks, everybody, vice grip hands. That's this guy. CJ West has ridiculous hands. He yanks guys. This is the guy you'd want defending you in a bar fight. And this guy throws people around like it's crazy. He is so strong from the elbow to the fingertip. It's ridiculous. And then he fires off. He stays, great power. He stays squared. He's got unbelievable agility, despite the fact he's 6'1", 320 and looks more like a fire hydrant. He actually has really unbelievable side-to-side fluidity and athleticism. He's about 320 pounds on a 6'1" frame. He's got enough pass rush to collapse the pocket. I love him. I love him, man. He's not going to be a big sack guy, but he ran 4.95 at the combine, so he's got big speed. And the great thing is, it was not like, this guy did it for like 3 games and then the rest of his career he stunk. This guy was awesome at Kent State and then came to Indiana and was awesome at Indiana. So the guy's got unbelievable production, great traits. And if you can put him next to some other guys who can rush the passer, a little bit more, he could be just an absolute, run wrecking monster in the A gaps. I love him. Love that guy.
Yeah, I like that pick too. He's going to be a great fit. He's very similar to DJ Jones, and DJ Jones was a great player on this defense with Saleh. I like the other defensive tackle, Alfred Collins. I think some people don't know what to make of him. Yeah. Was he a little too early? Is he a 3-down player? First of all, I like it because I think it's an acknowledgement that if you really take yourself seriously as a contender in the NFC, you got to go through the Eagles. That's the team, and it's going to be the team for a while. They're young. They're going to be good for a while, and they're really big in the trenches. So we saw the Rams have a really good D line, but it's not big, and they got ran over by the Eagles in the playoffs. I like that the Niners now have a guy in Alfred Collins who can hold up to Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson double teaming him, which is going to happen if you face that team, which you want that matchup. So it's a great acknowledgement of where the league is going. I mean, there is no pass rush down against the Eagles. Even on 3rd and 6, you have to be prepared for them to run up the middle. You have to be gap sound and all of that. So I think that's great, but also I think he has the potential to become a good pass rusher on the 49ers next to Bosa, because Bosa is going to be the one creating a lot of pressure. It's going to make the quarterback hold the ball and move it. And this guy has the length to shed the blocks and sort of clean up in ways that I don't know that CJ West can. He can stack, shed, and then the quarterback can move into him the way that Eric Armstead got sacks for years with the 49ers. I think he's very similar to Eric Armstead. Not quite as tall, but he's 6'6", and even he's 40 pounds heavier than Eric Armstead. I love that pick.
It's super intriguing. I mean, It's a super intriguing pick. I mean, some of the things that stood out to me about him, one, 6'6", 332. And when you look at this guy, he looks like about 280. Because he's just, it's so evenly.
He chases the play sideline to sideline. He plays with the whistle. I love his motor.
The motor, the passion. How about this? Texas allowed 2.9 yards per carry over the past 2 seasons with him on the field. So he just clogs.
And CJ West has a stat like that too.
Yeah. I mean, CJ West just throws guys in the A gap. You're not getting through there. It doesn't matter if you're the offensive lineman. It doesn't matter if he'll split doubles. He is just a big, tough, strong guy. He's unbelievable. But Collins is in some ways even crazier. What I loved also about him, he's really good at batting down passes. He's got a knack for batting down passes. He definitely needs refinement as a pass rusher. But you're talking about, 6'6", 330 with agility. And the other thing I loved is he's got really elite tackle to missed tackle ratio career in his college career. 55 tackles, only 2 missed tackles. And he did show up at the UT Pro Day in Austin in a walking boot. So there has to be some investigation as far as his health, either foot, ankle, knee, whatever. So health would be a question I would have, but he is durable on paper. I mean, he played in 64 of 65 games at Texas, so that's a good sign. So I mean, he just looks to me like that. Like Collins and West look like they could just be ridiculous together, and they don't look anything like. One guy's short and stubby and strong as an ox. The other guy's long and rangy, but both these guys play with tons of passion. And to me, I mean, that's I love to see that. They should have 3 new starters on their defensive line if everything goes right.
They had this combination, in my opinion, in 2020, Salah's last year here. The starting defensive tackles were Eric Armstead and DJ Jones. I mean, Kinlaw was there too, but it was really those 2 guys. And they were great. And I think one thing that's nice about the Armstead body type that Collins is going to try to replicate is it makes it very difficult for offensive linemen to get to the second level on run plays and block Warner and Greenlaw, or in this case, Warner and Nick Martin. So now you can have a weak side linebacker who's 5'11", 220, which was when I was a kid, that was a strong safety. Now, I mean, he's not going to have to take on blocks because that's what Collins is doing. He can just run and hit, and now he's going to be the most violent player on the field. So to me, I love the defensive picks. Even Upton Stout, it felt like a reach. I think he's going to be really good. I really saw what they did, and I felt like they were really realistic about addressing the biggest needs first.
Well, and it goes back to they wanted to improve the run. So Upton Stout was PFF's 6th highest graded run defender among all the defensive backs in the draft.
Wow.
He also had 21 reps on the bench, 225, despite being whatever he is, 5'8" and change. Mm-hmm. So he's really, really strong. He's a really, really good run defender. As far as Collins, what I loved about Collins and Michael Williams is that they both can be used a lot. I mean, one of the things that Chris and Saleh like to do is they like to, line them up outside, move them inside, line them up inside, move them outside. Lots of stunts, lots of twists, lots of games up front.
You're going to see those games with those 2.
4 defensive ends on the field at one time. Yeah. Things like that. Yeah. I was looking at the usage for Collins. In Texas moved him all over their defensive front. His total snaps in 2024, according to alignment, he was in the A gap 146 snaps. He was in the B gap 299 snaps. He was in the C gap 129 snaps, and he was outside 19 snaps. So, wow. I mean, that's a pretty varied usage.
Sounds like Armstead.
Yeah, they move him around. So. And hunt the mismatch. Mm-hmm. So I think that's something they really love to do. The other thing I thought was interesting, looking at some of the numbers after the draft, Mikel Williams' numbers against the run are spectacular. I didn't realize he was not just good against the run, but he was like
good against the run. Yeah,
he was
and
like
he's been like this since he was a freshman. Man, he's 20. Yeah.
His numbers against the run were amazing, but his numbers against the pass were not. So like in the PFF
when they talk
numbers,
about his pass rush win rate, like he is playing 4-eye technique a lot of the time.
Which his is like pass rush win percentage was 30th percentile.
Yeah.
His run defense grade was 97th percentile. His run stop percentage was 66th percentile, but his pass rush grade in true pass sets was 9th percentile.
Now, so let's get he'll get more one-on-ones on the 49ers because he'll be playing with Bosa. Right. And I do think they're going to scheme a lot of opportunities for him, like Fangio used to do for Aldon Smith. Aldon Smith was great one-on-one, better than Mikel Williams, but he also got a lot of stunts to the inside where he was unblocked because freaking Justin Smith was that good. And maybe Alfred Collins could have the same impact.
Well, and the same thing with Mikel, his defensive alignment by snaps. He's in the B gap 24 snaps this last year, C gap 151 snaps, and wide 222 snaps.
I'd love to know his Niners pass rush win rate out wide.
Yeah, no, I would too. Yeah. His the PFF run defense grades for edge rushers drafted in the first round, Abdul Carter was 57th. James Pierce was 12th. Shamar Stewart was 4th. And Mikel Williams was 8th. So, just,
You would have preferred Shamar. That's going to be interesting to see.
I would have preferred
who has a better career.
But I will say this, Shamar's lack of production, sack production, and missed tackle, when you combine it with his missed tackle rate, is a little bit more dubious than Mikel's low production. Why? Because Mikel played in a lower on a better team, and he played a lower percentage of the snaps. Georgia runs a deep rotation. He only played 33% of the snaps, and they lined him up in a bunch of different areas. I think Mikel's sack production, which he had 10 fewer tackles, by the way, than Shamar Stewart, but I think his sack production is going to elevate in the NFL, kind of like a Daniil Hunter. But I think the same thing about Stewart. I think Stewart's going to sack the quarterback, but I think Stewart's a little bit more flies, goes to the beat of his own drummer and is a little bit more of a wild card in the locker room, where I think Mikel Williams is a little bit more of a strong team leader, old school throwback football player in the locker room.
Also, what I like about Mikel Williams and most of the Georgia defensive linemen is they rush the quarterback as a team. No one's selling out to get the sack. No one's abandoning their gap. No one's freelancing. And I think that's why they come out with like 4 or 5 sacks, because it's a controlled bull rush. And it's like, we're not letting you scramble out of here. And that's why they've won championships. And I wish the Niners would be more like that. I mean, for years, they gotten beat by Mahomes and Russell Wilson because they can't keep the quarterback in the freaking pocket on 3rd and 15. And I feel like that's what Mikel Williams has been doing since he was a freshman. And I love that. And on 3rd down, what you could do is you could take CJ West off the field if he's not one of the two, and bring in Yetur Gross-Matos. You could put Alfred Collins in the A gap, Gross-Matos in the B gap, and have Mikel and Bosa out wide, and you can do all kind of stuff. You could even blitz Nick Martin. You could blitz Upton Stout. I think Salah's going to be pretty creative with his pressures. That was always one of the things I liked most about him when he was the defensive coordinator. Of all the coordinators Kyle's had, I feel like his pressures were the most creative.
It's amazing too when you add some talent at the position, how different the depth chart looks. It's like when you look at the Niner depth chart today and you look at guys like Yetur Gross-Matos and Jordan Elliott, now they look like veterans that you're glad to have, as opposed to, oh my God, those are your starters. You know what I mean? So I mean, I think they're in a. I think when you have greater depth. One other note on CJ West that I thought was really maybe the best note I saw on him. He has 52 stops at or behind the line of scrimmage since 2021. That was the most among all FBS defensive tackles. This guy resets the line of scrimmage. He owns it at the point. And the Niners have not had that guy since DJ Jones left. That's a very, very valuable piece of the puzzle when you're playing defensive football. You have to lock it down. And they finally have a guy. It's taken them years. I mean, look how many different guys they've rolled through here since DJ Jones left, trying to lock down the middle. They spent millions on Hargrave and all kinds of guys. They got their guy here in West.
One of my favorite things before we move on about Alfred Collins, we asked him like, hey, who do you model your game after?
Yeah.
He said Malik Collins. I was like, you could have picked anyone in the world. He said, man, Malik Collins. And you know what? Malik Collins does have a killer spin move. I feel like you really got to know a lot of defensive tackles to even mention him. I didn't know who he was 2 years ago.
Well, the only thing is he's a Texas guy and he played for the Texans. So maybe he was, you know what I mean? He probably just watched him when he was with the Texans. I got to think
best other thing too, they were like, so are you familiar with Mikel Williams? And he was like, no. Like, you don't know Mikel Williams? He's like, nope. Maybe he didn't understand the question. Anyway, worst pick. Which pick did you like the least? Doesn't mean he won't be a good player, but maybe you didn't like where he was taken or whatever. Why? Who was the guy?
That's a tough one.
And again, we're not crushing him. It's early. Yeah. It's more about the process.
I think you needed. Okay, so I'm a big fan of Willie Lampkin, right? And Willie Lampkin went undrafted. He went to the Rams. And he's a center, and I think he's a fullback, and I think he's a culture-changing mover in the run game. He's a great leverage player. And to me, after you went Connor Colby, I would have loved to seen them finish up with Willie Lampkin and really put really put some thump in your run game and change things up, because you had two things you had to do. You had to win at the point on defense. You had to win at the point on offense. I think defensively, with Collins and West and Nick Martin and Stout, you're really, you're doing a lot up front on the defensive side. And I like Connor Colby, but to me, I don't think I would have. I think I would have gone with Willie Lampkin over the return guy in Junior Bergen. You know what? I've heard Brant Boyer, our special teams coach, has been talking about this guy. How many players do you want to give and devote to your special teams? It's like, I know it's a third of the game, but your offensive line, you really don't. You probably could have gone offensive tackle there. You probably could have gone offensive. I would have gone with an offensive lineman, or a running back, because that's where the depth was. Go with something like Montrell Johnson or one of these guys that went to after the draft. I would have gone with where the draft was deepest. Another running back. Instead, they go with Junior Bergen, and he's a great return guy. He's in great shape, but he's not a burner per se. So he's a return guy. He's not a burner. I mean, I guess I got to see it. Maybe I just got to see it. Supposedly the special teams coach was pounding the table for Junior Bergen. Shanahan said that, that Boyer basically hasn't stopped talking about Junior Bergen. So I guess, but I mean, really? I mean, how your entire free agency, it seemed like, was about special teams. You don't have enough. You already have Jacob Cowing. He's not good enough. This guy's that much better. And
also Jordan Watkins, a returner.
Plus, you have other receivers. You're really going to devote a receiver position to a guy who's just a returner, who's not a.
Did you hear what Kyle said when asked about him? He's like, yeah, he's not. I mean, we'll throw him in with the receivers, but if he's going to make the team, he'll make it as a returner. It's like, okay,
a returner that doesn't really run that fast.
No, he's Trent Taylor. I mean, have you watched his highlights? He moves like Trent Taylor. There's no burst. He's quick, but he's not fast. I'm sorry. I don't think it's going to work. I didn't like that pick at all. Sorry, George Jr.
I mean, if your pick suggests, man, these guys really know more than everybody else, odds are you don't. And if you don't, and it's transcends sports. I mean, the Warriors did this with Alan Smilagich and Justinian Jessup and all these guys. It's like, no, you're not that smart. Sorry. But and Junior Bergen, maybe. I mean, I'm not. He could be a great return guy.
Yeah.
But I mean, you need a more offensive lineman. Jalen Conyers was a 30 visit, I believe. He's a tight end. He's 260 pounds. He's a blocker. He's a receiver. I think Jalen Conyers probably would have been your tight end too this year. And you took Junior Bergen. So it was just, a little bit. And then the other one was Lynch seemed to be really enamored with Marquise Siegel. But in the 5th round at pick number 160, that seemed very premature. Now he did run 4.37, so and he's a former corner, so I like that in the safety, because you got to have some coverage ability, and speed is always a good thing. But that seemed a little early. Bergen seemed like a total undrafted guy for sure. And then I didn't think they totally killed it in the undrafted market, but the one guy that I would say I'm intrigued by is Corey Kiner.
Hold on. Don't get. That's the next topic.
Okay.
I don't want to spoil that one, because I like Corey Kiner too. So what I wanted to say is my least favorite pick, and I mentioned earlier, was the wide receiver. And it's not that I don't like him, because he does look like he's talented.
Right.
He's Jordan Watkins. He's very fast. He has terrific hand-eye coordination. He's short-handed. He doesn't drop the ball. Short arms, but good route runner, and he's explosive. So he could end up being good. Kyle has been, since he drafted Danny Gray, he's pretty much gotten this position right. Still, though, I think you could have gotten him with your next pick in round 5. And if he was gone, oh, well, it's not that big of a need, although he's a nice player. With that pick, I know they could have gotten an offensive tackle. They could have taken Carson Vinson from Alabama A&M. He ended up going 3 picks later to the Ravens. I mean, that's George Warhop. He's a great offensive line coach. The Niners used to have him. He developed Ben Bartch. Forrester is good friends with him. This is one of the best offensive lines in the league and one of the best running games in the league. And they took 2 offensive tackles and a guard. This Vincent guy, I mean, he's a bit of a project, but he's 6'7", 34.5-inch arms. He's fast. The kind of project, I mean, he's the Jordan Watkins of offensive tackles. He's a nice project. Could have taken him, and everyone be off your back, but you didn't. So that one there, you waited so long. You could have had a nice prospect on the offensive line, and you passed. I'm not saying anything bad about Connor Colby. Maybe he'll be good too, but
you know, in fairness to the Niners, I mean, I kind of felt like the tackles went a little early. You know, when I was looking at the way the board was going, I mean, like guys like Anthony Belton, I think a lot of them were mocked in the 3rd round. They were going in the middle of the 2nd round. So guys started coming off the board. And I think, but it's one of those things, you know, they say corner, quarterback, and offensive line are the 3 spots where you have to put guys higher on your board than you normally would, because there's urgency and supply and demand factors at play. And teams are really desperate for those players at those positions. So those players go higher. And I think the Niners probably put the offensive line guys where they ranked them on their board, didn't elevate them in any way, and just played the board as it came. They clearly don't show the kind of urgency to improve their offensive line that the rest of us show. Some of the analytics say that their offensive line is pretty good. But then if you look individually at some of their analytics, it kind of suggests that the center and the right tackle are not that great. We know the age of Trent Williams. There's an obvious hole at left guard. So we'll see. I mean, it's just they clearly don't believe their offensive line is as big an issue as the rest of us seem to believe. And the way, there's an old saying, you draft what you value. And the 49ers, not just in this era, in every era going back, always have and always seem to, maybe always will value D-line over O-line, almost more severely than most organizations. And I will say this, in the old days, the fact that the Niners didn't draft O-linemen early, it was like, hey, it was thought to be like, that's an advantage. Now, I think people look at the fact that the Niners are not drafting O-line early, and they're looking at it like they're screwing up. So it's amazing what winning the Super Bowl versus losing the Super Bowl does for the perspective of a fan base.
We can debate how good the Niners offensive line is. All I know is that the best offensive line in the league is Philly's, and they drafted 2 offensive tackles in round 6. So Miles Hinton, Cameron Williams, I mean, they're not going to start for the Eagles, but they want to have good backups. And you never know when you're going to find a diamond in the rough. I mean, Jordan Mailata was a 6th or 7th round pick himself. So it just seems like if that's what the best team with the best offensive line, if that's how they approach it, constantly bringing guys in is what the Ravens did too. I would like to see the Niners be a little bit more aggressive with that particular position, and they won't be ever. I get it. And you know what? Why don't we talk about that right now? Like, why do you think the 49ers, they drafted Mike McGlinchey in round 1, and ever since then, they've been real reluctant to spend any type of big investment. I guess Aaron Banks, the 2 Notre Dame guys, they drafted the 2 Notre Dame guys high, McGlinchey and Banks, gave neither one an extension, and ever since then, they've been working with the Jake Brendels of the world. Why do you think it is? What's up with that?
I think it comes right down to they think that rookie or that most offensive linemen as rookies aren't ready to play, and that if you draft offensive linemen early, it's a cycle, because if you draft them early, then you have to play them. If you have to play them, they don't play well early, then you don't do well early. And so you're always drafting early, and you're always needing more O-line. So I think that's the cycle they're trying to get out of. They don't believe that you should draft offensive linemen early because they think that offensive linemen early or young offensive linemen struggle and they need time. And so they rather go find those guys in free agency or find guys that they feel fit their system. They feel like their system aligns them with, smaller, more athletic linemen that can be found later in the draft. And so that's been their approach. And that's why they went for this Connor Colby. I will say this, Grant, about a month ago, I did a whole I had no idea which offensive lineman the Niners were going to draft. And I was trying to think, well, how do I figure this out? How do I figure out who they like? And I'm like, well, I know that there was a lot made about the testing last year. So I went and looked up those articles. They really do like the short shuttle, and they like the 10-yard split and the short shuttle. So I went and looked at which offensive lineman did well this year in the combine. And there was like 6 or 7 guys, and one of them was that Caleb Rogers from Texas Tech who went to the Raiders, but another was this Connor Colby. So they clearly like guys who they don't care about the short arms. They prefer the movement ability. We'll see. I personally think they may have gotten something with Colby, but I don't know what
ability is great for run blocking.
What about their tackle
arms
spot
are kind of important for pass blocking.
No question. And that's his weakness. He struggled as a pass protector. But he only allowed 2 sacks, in all of last year. And the quarterback that they had wasn't all that mobile. So he's considered to be a mean, nasty run blocker, well coached, very athletic, can pull across the formation. He's got that kind of movement ability. He's also got, 50 starts, and he's 22. He's considered nasty. So, Iowa's a pretty good program for this stuff. To me, I think Colby's a good fit, but I thought you needed Colby and another guy, maybe Colby and a tackle, or Colby and a real destroyer of a center. Just getting the one offensive lineman seemed a little underwhelming.
I think they feel like they got burned by McGlinchey and Banks, because where they took both of them, particularly McGlinchey, I think they hoped that they would get difference maker, Pro Bowler, and they didn't. They got, Banks I think they felt he was just a guy, and McGlinchey, they felt he was a good scheme fit, a good run blocker, but not the left tackle they hoped, not the Joe Staley heir apparent. And I think they felt, well, man, if we're kind of 0 for 2 drafting offensive lineman high, and we can sort of get by with serviceable guys who fit our scheme, let's just wait. Let's wait a lot longer so that we adjust our expectations. The fact that they got such good results from Dominic Pooney in round 3 makes me feel like they're not going to draft an offensive lineman before that anytime soon, because they just had a couple bad experiences. And not only that, they got crushed for it. They got criticized to no end about the Mike McGlinchey pick. And I don't think they want that anymore.
Well, you can't take a right tackle and not sign him to his second contract, and you take him in the top 10.
Yeah.
Then that's all of a sudden that you're taking him, you're asking him, that's too valuable of a pick for a 1 contract right tackle.
Yep.
So I think that's a big part of it. Yep. It's interesting too. I think they liked the 2 Notre Dame guys because they liked how well Notre Dame coached them up there, and they felt like those guys were ready to go
Zach
earlier.
Martin. There's a bunch of good Notre Dame, Ronnie Stanley.
Yeah, there's a lot of good, and I think Iowa's right there with Notre Dame as far as their ability to coach up their offensive linemen. So I think, this guy's interesting. I'm very intrigued by him, but I thought they would have, followed it up with some really intriguing undrafted O-linemen. And Drew Moss was the only one that I saw from Colorado State. And, he's not a bad prospect, but I was hoping that they would find a couple more offensive linemen. It didn't seem like they did.
Who was your favorite undrafted free agent and why?
Well, first of all, this guy Stone Blanton. That's a great name, Stone Blanton.
Baseball player too.
If I just had more creativity, it'd be Stone Kruger instead of Kev. Could have named him Stone. I like that name. No, but his I'll say this, his game log. That guy, 18 tackles, 14 tackles, 16 tackles. That guy's a tackling machine. So if you're just looking for production, Stone Blanton, but I think he runs in the 4.6s. He's probably too slow. So I'll say the 2 most intriguing are Corey Kiner and Isaiah Nair. I'll go with Nair just because he's got some amazing traits. We're talking about a guy who's 6'4", 220. He ran 4.4 flat. That's a huge fast speed. 4.4 flat for 6'4", 220. That's cooking. That is so fast. Then he also had 35-inch arms and 40-inch vertical. So, I mean, this guy's got a catch radius. He could catch stuff up around the top of the stadium. I mean, this is just a gigantic, fast, huge catch radius guy who was supposed to be great, started at Wyoming, went to Texas, got injured, didn't play at Texas, went to Nebraska, finished at Nebraska, and had a good year. And looking at his film, it's like, oh my God, look at this guy. He's big, he's fast, he's got good hands. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of production because he's just, it's kind of fell through the cracks, but he started off hot at Wyoming and then got hurt and then just came off a good year at Nebraska. Isaiah Nayer is really going to be something to watch because he's like one of their fastest receivers. He's one of their biggest receivers. He's one of their best jumpers and has the longest arms. So, I mean, I can't wait to see what this guy looks like in training camp. It's just going to be ridiculous. So I would say I'm really pretty excited about Isaiah Nayer, the wide receiver from Nebraska.
I'm excited about him too. I feel like I'm excited about the players the Niners got who aren't short. Michael, Alfred, and him. Everyone else the Niners got is like so short. That's okay. But CJ West, Upton Stout, Nick Martin, it's like a lot of undersized guys. And there's a place for them. But it's nice to have a mixture, especially it'd be nice if they had like a bigger DB. I feel like Saleh has gotten so comfortable with the Jason Verretts and the DJ Reeds of the world. Like, hey, man, you have a bunch of short DBs, but I really like one of the short DB, Jacob Robinson. Jacob Robinson. I'm looking at him like, I don't understand why he didn't get drafted. He's very fast. He's very explosive. He had 11 picks in college, and he was a captain last year at BYU, and he's good against the run. Like, he maybe got cooked in a couple of games.
I don't know if you saw his interviews. He's incredibly well spoken. 4.36. Dude, we're not even talking about he's kind of fast. 4.36.
Yeah. I mean, so that's a nice guy to get. And the running back too. Corey Connery mentioned him. Stone Blanton. They did get a guard from Colorado, kind of similar to Connor Colby. What do you think of Drew Moss?
I don't have a lot of data on Drew Moss. I tried to watch him, but I didn't see anything that was spectacular. He didn't stand out.
He ran a 5 flat. He's got 32-inch arms, but he ran a 5 flat. His vertical was 31 inches. His shuttle, I mean,
he played a lot.
He's really athletic.
I mean, I'll say that he was a big key on their line. The Corey Kiner thing, though, there are some numbers that are really exciting about Corey Kiner. And when you watch him, that one. I'll make, the bold prediction now. Corey Kiner will do more than Jordan James. I'll make that prediction. The Niner undrafted backs almost on a regular basis. They're just a little bit better than the guys drafted earlier. And I don't know exactly why. Now, Dane Brugler loved Jordan James, but Kiner is unbelievable. As far as power and weight and just the ability to, run with power, contact balance. I mean, he's just off the charts. So there was this missed forced tackles in college football, right? Number 1, Ashton Genty, of course, 125.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Cam Scadaboo with 82, tied with him, Corey Kiner, 82, second most missed forced tackles. So, I mean, this guy, and if you watch the film, it's like the first guy never brings him down. It reminds you feel like you're watching Frank Gore in his prime. I mean, it's crazy.
Jordan James takes the contact to the defender, kind of like a smaller Jordan Mason. It's admirable to watch. Corey Kiner seems like he avoids contact better.
And then the other one, that's funny you said that, because avoided tackle rate leaders from the draft class. And number 1, 39.5%, Ashton Genty. Number 2, Bayshul Tootin, 36.6%. Number 3, Cam Scadaboo, 34.5%. And number 4, Corey Kiner, 34.1%. So he's good at avoiding tackles. He just keeps the legs churning. He's really intriguing, man. That guy is really intriguing, Corey Kiner. And not only that, so it's like the other thing, it's like you're thinking, well, is he that great, or the film looks really good? What do you mean? And then you go back and read up on the guy. He was Mr. Ohio in the state of Ohio. His year, he was the best guy. He went to LSU on the full ride. He had a good year, but then he transferred, to Cincinnati because he wanted to play in front of the only people that were there to watch him were his mom and dad, and he wanted to be able to play in front of some of his friends. So, that makes sense. And then he goes back to Cincinnati, becomes the captain of the team, just becomes this unbelievable runner. And you can see the tackle breaking ability. And it's like, this guy has the same 40 time to Jordan James. So, really, it's not like one guy's a burner and the other guy's slow. These guys run basically the same speed. So they're both tackle breakers. What I liked about Jordan James is he's never fumbled. But I kind of think if you made me bet right now, I would take Corey Kiner as the running back between the two that's more likely to hit.
Jason Riverall, $5 super sticker. Thank you, Jason. Kilo TW says, calling it now. Marquise Siegel will be one of the biggest steals of the draft. Nick Martin has some serious speed as well. Joseph Ernberg says, I've been too positive lately. Stop it. Okay. Sean says, UDFA Jacob Robinson looks like the best DB on the team. The guy looks like he is elite. Can you guys get any info on why he wasn't drafted? BYU is a solid school. I don't understand it. Like, he looks like Lenore.
He's light. I'll say this. There are teams that won't take guys that are under 175 or 180. I think he weighed like 165. So he may be a little too slight. What did it say weight?
He was 181. So right on the threshold. 181. And Lenore, when he came out, was like 200.
Maybe there was an injury.
Maybe.
But Steph had him on her show, and she said that he was great to interview. I only thing I was a little surprised Niners didn't get a few more players in the undrafted market, considering how many people left in free agency and how many severe needs there seems to be on this roster. I would have thought they would have been able to attract a few more.
I think they're up to 89 spots on their players on their roster right now. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Chances that Mason Pline sees the field. Love you guys.
He was one of the big winners. We didn't talk about it, but he's one of the big winners, I think, from this draft. Why? Because the Niners didn't touch a tight end before the draft, during the draft, or after the draft. And if you look at that tight end spot, you got George, you got Luke Farrell, and then you got three guys battling for one spot: Braden Willis, Mason Pline, and Jake Tongas. They redshirted Pline last year because he is a former basketball player. They wanted to give him a year, I'm sure, to adjust. And he's 6'8" and is pretty athletic. Talked to his agent the other day. We're going to have him on the show. But I'm a real believer that Pline has got a great chance to beat out Willis and Tongas. And Willis and Tongas both have good traits too. But Mason Pline's a bigger guy. He's really smart. He's a mechanical engineering major. He's got 36-inch vertical on a 6'8" frame. I think he's got potential to be a real good red zone receiving threat.
Sean says this may be a top 5 defense in 2026 if healthy. Could be.
It's big. Yeah, that's a big if.
Alejandro says could have had Marcus Embo and Miles Frazier with 138 and 147. That would have solved the interior. There were guys. Matt Sanders says Salah gets Ferraris. Kyle gets the parts bin. Good. Okay. Connor Worrell says Titans traded up to 136 to take Alec Ayamanor from us. At 138, we had to take Watkins. I'll be interested to see who will have a better career. Speaking of trading, the Niners didn't do it one time. Someone needs to tell Lynch that you're allowed to do that.
Well, he almost traded up with Carolina for Mikael Williams.
He tried. Gave it the old college try.
Glad they missed out on that.
John Campbell Jr.
Would have been nice to trade back a little bit.
Yeah, they needed one more pick. John Campbell Jr. OT invitee. Anything there? I don't know.
I wish I knew more about him. I don't know much about him. I'll look him up.
Yeah, sorry, Blood Moon. Let's make some prize picks for tonight's game. Warriors, Rockets. Who you like? Who you want to start with? These are really important. Draymond, Looney, Peyton.
Is Jimmy Butler playing?
He's supposed to play, but I don't know if they're going to let us make any picks because of his
Let's go with
Butthurt
Draymond.
status.
I felt like Draymond got called out last game. I expect Draymond to go off.
Okay, as in like 10 points.
Yes, I think Draymond has a big presence tonight. Him and Green verbally went at each other at the end of the game. Draymond knows how you play in the next game is really all that matters, and I think he's going to come out and play an incredible game. I like Draymond. I like Draymond above probably all of his totals. I definitely over 10 points.
I found Jimmy Butler 20 points, more or less.
Yeah, the only question is minutes. That's the only question. I don't know how many minutes he's going to play.
So you're staying away from Jimmy?
Yeah, I'd stay away from Jimmy because that's a little bit riskier.
It's a risky play. That's a savvy move right there from Larry. You see how he sidestepped that? I love that. That was good.
Yeah.
Let's get Curry.
Let's go with somebody who's a little bit more automatic.
Curry, points. Where are you? I don't know.
24 or less.
27.5.
Ooh, gosh. Yeah, I go under.
Ooh. Any reason?
I just think that, as the series goes on, I think it's getting a little bit more personal. It's getting a little bit more hotly contested. There's gonna be more clutching, more grabbing, more violence, less open flow. I like them.
What about pods? 13.
Oof, gosh, not really a believer in pods right now.
Okay, we'll go less on pods, and then we'll get one rocket or two. Jalen Green.
What's Sengun at?
Let's see.
There he was.
I'm trying to find the points. 19.5.
Yeah, I like Sengun. The Warriors can't. He's an all-star big man. He just scores. So I would say he's going to go for 25.
Okay, let's finalize the lineup. Those are our picks: Draymond, Curry, Pods, and Sengun. Going power. I'm going to flex it because I'm feeling a little not as confident. But you never know.
Give yourself a chance to miss one. Is that how it works?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Anyway,
little hedge.
Game starts in what? 3 hours?
6:30 or 7 tonight.
Okay,
check that. I'm going to be doing a post game. I'll be doing a little post game afterwards.
Nice. That'll be great. Everyone, make sure you go check out Larry's post game. Subscribe to his channel. Subscribe to my channel. Larry, thank you very much.
Good to see you, man. We'll see you. When's minicamp? When do we get our rookie minicamp?
I haven't heard anything. Probably rookie minicamps next weekend, I would imagine.
Yeah, that to me is a big day because then we'll get a chance to see exactly who looks like what. We'll have a little bit better knowledge of kind of who they really feel good about this year.
Absolutely.
Down the road.
Thanks for tuning in. See you guys soon. Take care.
Peace.